morning, everyone. It's Bronie here again for another day in Bronie's world. Oh, it's morning for me. It's afternoon for the dog. And here we are again, beginning of August. And it's that time when we have my favorite doctor in the world, Dr. Joel Wallach, the most amazing naturopathic doctor that you will come across, the researcher and the man behind the decades of research that the world's slowly catching up on now. Like, you're not getting enough salt in your diet, and the collagen peptides in particular, and selenium and the importances of all that. Well, today, Doc, he's always been telling us how important the wood ash was in our diet from generations ago. So he's going to touch on that.
I'm on the Zoom in Australia. I'll call you back in an hour.
And everyone loves talking to docs. They always interrupt our calls. So, and we're going to touch on GERD. So, Doc, with no further ado, I'm handing this over to you.
Okay. Well, GERD, of course, just a simple definition, is a stomach issue, an esophagus issue, is belching, burping, bloating, throwing up, that kind of stuff.
Reflux.
Reflux, yep, all those kind of things. And it's very common. And it rarely happens in kids. It happens in people who tend to be middle-aged and older, because I believe it's caused by a degenerative process called osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, which is a big nerve that goes down from your brain all the way down to your toes, and it has these little branches that go off to all your various tissues and organs all the way down, including your stomach. Okay. So it's one of those things where, okay, let's have a look at this GERD thing. And doctors like to do surgery and this and other. That's how they pay their kids tuition for college. And it's one of those things where it's very simple stuff. Okay. It always comes down to nutritional issues. Okay. And, it's miserable and messy and just dysfunctional, and it messes up time and so forth. And it's one of those things where, let's have a look. When was GERD first prevented? Let's go back 200,000 years ago. Let's go back 200,000 years ago.
That was before I was born.
That's before you were born, 200,000 years ago. Okay. And 200,000 years ago, Neanderthals were alive, cavemen. Okay. And people just, cavemen, they eat weeds and mushrooms and eat a dead person once in a while, or a dead animal once in a while. And that's it. That's all you ever heard about the Neanderthals. You don't know much about them. Okay. Well, there's a lot of history in the Neanderthals, and some of it goes back 200,000 years. And to me, one of the most important pieces you learn when you're talking about the Neanderthals 200,000 years ago, it just blows your mind. They were using salt by boiling and burning seaweed and taking the powder, which is mostly salt that the seaweed got from the ocean. Okay. But also they were using wood ashes and coal ashes. They call it black rocks ashes. So there's coal ashes and wood ashes, which they would put in their gardens, or plants that they like to eat. They knew if they threw some of those wood ashes and coal ashes into the gardens, they would get more yield. And they would put the wood ashes and coal ashes on their food. Okay. And they were getting all these minerals from the oceans and the wood, the trees, and all this and the other, by burning them and taking those wood ashes and coal ashes and incorporating it into their eating and cooking and serving and so forth. 200,000 years ago. Crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, this went on until September 4th, 1882. September 4th, 1882. Okay. At one time, all of the wood stoves and coal stoves were replaced by electricity. Suddenly now there is no more wood ashes and coal ashes to bring us minerals for our source of nutritional minerals. Okay. And suddenly now there were hospitals all over the place. There had never been before. Suddenly now doctors had offices, which they never had before. Prior to this time, September 4th, 1882, when they went to electricity, everybody's using wood ashes and coal ashes for spices in their food and so forth, and also for fertilizer. And it's not the same though. Some wood ashes had 3 minerals in them. Some wood ashes had 15 minerals. Some wood ashes had 25 minerals. Some wood ashes had 50 minerals. Some wood ashes had 75 minerals. Some wood ashes had 90 minerals. Some wood ashes had 110 minerals. Depends on where the plants grew that they got the wood ashes from. Okay.
Yeah.
And the one where people lived a long time, and where you live, did they have land flowing with milk and honey? Did they have places where people lived a long time? Yeah.
Well, there are people that live a long time, but not
You've heard of the land flowing with milk and honey, right?
absolutely.
Okay. Well, that turned out to be wood ashes and coal ashes. Okay.
Mm.
And also erosion minerals. Okay. Now, because these minerals do not occur in a uniform blank around the crust of the earth, some of this well, wood ashes and coal ashes that occurred in the land flowing with milk and honey had only 3 minerals. Some had 5 minerals, some had 10 minerals, some had 25 minerals, some had 30 minerals, some had 50 minerals, some had 75 minerals, some had 100 minerals.
Mm.
And so it wasn't the same everywhere because the mineral in the soil and the rocks and the water floods were not the same. Okay. And so that's why there were very few places on earth where people lived to be 120, some lived to be 150, some lived to be 200. And this is in the old Bible, the land flowing with milk and honey. So they knew back then that there were places on earth where people lived a long time, and they attributed it to being a God thing. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I believe it was a God thing. And people who hit onto that say, okay, we're putting up our farms here because for some reason, this is where everything grows flourishing. This is where the animals and the people live without disease. This is where they live a long time. There's a reason for that. The land flowing with milk and honey. It's in the Old Testament, the old Bible.
Yeah.
And so there
Well,
was,
it's the same. It's the same today around here. You know, there are places you would set up a farm, whereas there are other places you would just
that's
avoid.
correct. There's the same principle today that there's places where there's lots of minerals in the soil. And then there's places where there's a minimum amount of minerals, and there's some places where there's no minerals. Okay.
Mm.
And so you can tell by looking at the plants and seeing if there's permanent wild animal populations in an area. If there's permanent wild populations in an area, that means there's plenty of minerals there. If there's no permanent wild animal populations, they might go from point A to point C by going through point B, but they never stay there longer than a day or so because they knew that the food didn't taste good. They weren't getting what they needed to be satisfy their hunger. And so they didn't stay in those places. Okay. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it, but it's very simple to understand. And the whole idea now is to pay attention to this. And of course, we have this book. I don't know if we've talked about it before on your show called Immortality.
We have.
And we have talked about immortality.
We have.
Yeah,
Long, a
okay.
while ago now, though.
Okay, well, the book Immortality talks about longevity in the chapter 11. Okay, chapter 11. Okay, it's things like page what is it? Page 293, chapter 11, goes into many of the cultures that live a long time. And it's very obvious it's the minerals, okay, that they live a long time. Then our newest book, it's only out now, it's less than 2 months. Okay, metabolic syndrome. Okay, the metabolic syndrome is abdominal obesity, type 2 diabetes, and hypertension, a little bit of heart disease. And 25% of Americans live in zones okay, where we're talking about 25% to 30% of American adults have what's called the metabolic syndrome. And the metabolic syndrome, of course, is where these nutrients are not found in the soil anymore. In some cases, they never were found in the soil there. Okay. And it's one of those things where it's crazy when you think about it. Okay. And somebody moved my stuff. Anyway.
Don't you hate that? Because people do that to me too, and I put my hand on something, or I clean up my office.
Well, and you did it. Okay.
And I'm thinking, where the heck did I do this?
There we go. Found it. Okay. So in the United States, okay, again, of the adults, both males and females, 33 to 34% of adults in the United States have metabolic syndrome, abdominal obesity, type 2 diabetes, and hypertension, high blood pressure, and heart disease. Well, in Canada, it's only 19.1%. Okay, 20%, 1/5 instead of 1/3. Okay, and that's Canada. And then when you look at Australia, over 35% of Australian adults have a metabolic syndrome. Okay. Okay. And this is a significant portion, obviously, of the population. And 22.1% of adult women and 13% of adult men consistently in Australia have metabolic syndrome. So this comes down to everybody needs to be supplementing. You cannot get everything you need just by eating well. I'll repeat that. You cannot get everything you need just by eating well. And so if you just eat well, you can buy very expensive diets and foods and recipes and things like that. Tastes good. And you might live a couple of hours, a couple of days, or a couple of years longer. But you're not going to be the person who lives to be 120, 150, 200. These are the people who are getting those nutrients and not getting whacked by the metabolic syndrome. So that's why we came out with the book. The metabolic syndrome goes into the history, goes into what causes it and how to prevent it, how to reverse it. Okay. This is I think it's got 47 pages in it. Okay. Everybody needs this. And then, of course, we have the book, The Truth About Nutrition. It goes into everything you need to know about nutrition, because nutrition is what makes you live longer, healthily, or not. Okay.
Yes.
Food and calories don't cut it by themselves. They need the minerals and vitamins so that all your tissues can perform at optimal levels. And so the truth about nutrition really, really goes into great detail. Everybody needs to read this book. And then we have the book, It's All in Your Head, 30 pages, goes into the 50 different diseases you get when you have osteoporosis of the skull. And of course, this covering part of the cover here is a CD, what goes on with the spinal cord, because the spinal cord also is afflicted, not just the 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Okay. And then, of course, we have the book, Let's Play Doctor. The book, Let's Play Doctor, it talks about how to make diagnoses. Okay. High blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, osteoporosis, all kinds of stuff. Tells you how to make the diagnosis and then what supplement programs you need to prevent and reverse them. So Let's Play Doctor. This is a very, very useful book. And then one of my favorite books is Dead Doctors Don't Lie. My lecture, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, is in, I don't know, 25 different languages. We've sold over 300 million. No, I take that back. 300 million copies. 300 million copies of the CD. Okay, because there's so many different languages. Dead Doctors Don't Lie. The book, we've sold over 300 million of the books, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Okay.
I know that you've sold more of the recording, at least, than Michael Jackson's bestseller.
That's true. The only books that sold more than my books are the Bible, which is fair. Okay, so the Bible, obviously the Old Testament, the New Testament, and many of the lectures of great religious prophets and so forth have sold millions and millions of copies. My books and CDs and DVDs are the only ones that come close to those, okay? And so we're very, very proud of that. And again, we look at all these different diseases that humans go through, and most of them are caused by nutritional deficiencies, okay? The doctor says, oh, you need this medication. Was there anything I can do nutritionally? The doctor will laugh and just pat you on the back and say, no, just eat well, you get everything you need, from nutrition, but this is something else. This is a genetic thing. You need these drugs to help you with the symptoms and to slow the disease down, give you an extra
Or
year.
surgery.
Yeah, or surgery, heart surgery. Okay. And so,
But to see, GERD, we started out with GERD, right? Now that can be reversed. Am I correct? With proper nutrition. Would you?
salt is good for you. Okay, you go back to that.
It's funny how the doctors are still pushing, to cut your salt out.
Yeah, the doctors say cut the salt out. Well, you go back. Okay, you go back 200,000 years ago. Wood ashes and salt were the two supplements that people used back then. Okay, and they lost their ability to live a long time on September 4th, 1882, when we went from wood and coal stoves to electricity all over the world at the same time. Everybody threw the switch at the same time. And suddenly now there's hospitals, there's doctors, have offices. Suddenly now companies came out with health insurance so that health insurance would help you pay for your medical bills. Everybody wanted in on the diseases now because the diseases are coming on like crazy when we gave up wood ashes and coal.
It's funny. It's well, it's not funny. It's interesting how you've made that connection, but most people haven't made that connection, because like there's got to be something happens in a sequence in time that triggers certain things to happen.
That's right. And this is something that my team and I figured it out. And that's why we sell so many books and CDs and DVDs, because people say, well, how did Wallach figure that out? And they didn't figure it out from Harvard Medical School. That's because Harvard Medical School just wants to write prescriptions. That's how they that's how they pay their tuition. Okay. And they don't have any, which I say, interest in finding preventions and cures. They want to find treatments and pain relief. Treatments and pain relief is what they like. Oh, we have a new treatment for this disease. Okay. So instead of having to take 3 capsules twice a day, now you just take 1 injection twice a day. Okay. That's how they change things and so forth. But
there's like I was saying to you earlier, this, and it really is, to me, when I looked it up, is just a fancy name for GERD, the Barrett's esophagus, well, however you say it. And they're like, they're sort of talking about it, oh, it could become cancerous. And I mean, anything can become cancerous if you don't look after it right. But I'm just trying to figure out why they would say it would become cancerous.
Just remember that 12th cranial nerve that goes from the brain all the way down to your big toe, and all the branches coming down every place it goes. It's the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve. Okay. And it's one of those things where I guarantee you that all this reflux and GERD and all that kind of stuff is caused by osteoporosis of the skull. And each cranial nerve, okay, has a hole in the skull. So the nerve goes through that hole and out to your body where it does its job. Okay. And it drives people crazy when they realize that these nerves, you get ringing in the ears, you get balance problems, you lose your vision. Yeah, you have your kidneys stop working, and so they want to do dialysis. And all these things are caused by the nutrients necessary for all of your cranial nerves to work have to be found in your food. Well, we found how to guarantee you're going to have the nutrients for your skull, your brain. Okay, you have the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. You have the Healthy Start Pack.
Yeah.
The I-26. The I-26 will rebuild the myelin, the white matter of your brain and your spinal cord. I take 3 of these twice a day. The chewables, that also comes in capsules or in powder if you prefer those methods of taking it. I like the French vanilla chewables.
Oh, that's my favorite as well.
Okay. And that makes your brain and your spinal cord work properly. And so we've figured all these things out. And I have people in 80 countries, 80 different countries who are using our programs, okay, which their local doctors couldn't figure out. And so now their local doctors are kind of getting our programs into their clinics there in these foreign countries all over the place. So we're very, very proud of that. We've been able to help literally billions of humans. And of course, it also helps animals. We have programs for our farm animals, for our pet animals, research animals. And so this has been a big project over the years, as you can imagine.
Yeah. And because it's important to stretching that a little bit further, because the I-26 and a few of our other awesome products are good for cleaning up the gut. And I'm just thinking about reflux and stuff. I said, you know, it's not just that, but it would be worth people looking at their digestive system, cleaning up the gut, and of course getting rid of all the bad foods.
Yeah, well, think of our kidneys, okay, and the heart are actually quite similar. They both have arteries and veins in them. If you have a blockage in them, we have what we call the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. It opens up clogged arteries in the heart and the kidneys. It helps your kidneys work better, so you don't have to have your kidneys removed and you don't have to have dialysis and all that kind of stuff. It helps your heart work better, so you don't have to have a heart transplant or heart surgery. And so suddenly now, doctors are trying to figure out why they're not getting so many patients. They're not getting so many patients because people are taking supplements that prevent and reverse all diseases that they used to have commonly, okay? And these diseases are going away. And so people in certain areas, the land flowing with milk and honey, those regions still exist. And you find the places, and this is why I love the book, Immortality, because the whole book is dealing with the communities that live a long time healthfully without all these diseases and so forth. And so it freaks people out. Well, how come my doctor doesn't know this? Well, have you ever thought he doesn't want to know this? Your doctor wants to write you prescriptions, and because you have insurance, and insurance will pay the prescription costs, so you don't have to pay it, so he doesn't feel guilty. Okay, but Immortality goes into how to prevent and reverse, okay, over 900 different diseases. Why not give it a shot? Might save some money.
It certainly can't hurt, and it'd be better than, because look, all these prescription drugs, you know, chemicals and things, that they all have a side effect, and often that a lot of those side effects lead to surgery or death, and cause even more issues. And you think, well, how did you get that? Well, this caused that particular issue, and it's like a vicious circle, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Just having you go back to the doctor all the time.
Another book you should get is The Truth About Nutrition. And of course, it's one of those things where, so you want to know why the smoking nations, okay, why they have so much. They have 85% less cancer and cardiovascular disease, yet they're big smokers. Okay, that's because they're eating salt every day, 12 to 15 grams of salt every day. And so 1,000 milligrams of salt per day.
Where's this?
Japan.
I didn't know they were big smokers.
Oh yeah, they're big salt eaters. And they have 85% less cancer than we do. Of course, they tend not to fry foods, they tend to boil everything.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the point, isn't it? You know, sort of, or steaming it. They steam a lot of their foods too, don't they?
Yeah, it depends on how you cook food, how you prepare it, and so forth. And
using butter instead of margarine. I've never got my head around how anyone can think that margarine is better than butter, and how doctors tell people to have margarine instead of butter if they have a heart condition. I mean, doctors promote a chemically made artificial thing, but the ingredients are used in your car. Oh, don't get that. Go back to butter. It's natural.
Here's something for you. Right now, the entire world every year spends $2.7 trillion for healthcare. The United States alone spends 1.6 trillion of it, more than half. The United States spends more than half of the entire world's expenditure for healthcare. And yet we only rank 17th in longevity. There's 16 other countries whose peoples live longer than us. So there's a problem here. Okay. And so people need to read these books: Immortality, Truth About Nutrition, Hell's Kitchen. That's one of my favorite books, is Hell's Kitchen. Okay. Because bad cooking in the kitchen creates hell. You die early, terrible, miserable diseases. Okay. And
well, I mean, you know, like I was thinking about when you were talking about living 120, 50 years, you know, like living that. But what you're talking about is not just living it and being it being a burden, but living it healthier and being productive even in those years, not just being alive in bedridden or something. That's not living.
Okay, well, here's another one: epigenetics. It's a new science. I'm considered one of the founding fathers of this science. There are no genetically transmitted diseases. I'll repeat that. There's no genetically transmitted disease. I proved it in the laboratory. I proved it on the autopsy table. There are no genetically transmitted diseases. And we have a new science called epigenetics, and I'm considered one of the founding fathers of this. This book is 500 pages of history.
I have that one. And I tell you, I haven't read it cover to cover yet. Yes, it's interesting how one of the first questions that a doctor will ask you is, yeah, does anyone in your family have it? Oh, this is like even this Barrett's esophagus, or GERD, as I want to call it. You know, they say, oh, it's a genetically transmitted thing, you know, it's someone else. And I'm thinking, well, as you've taught me, the only reason it seems that way is because you've learned your cooking habits from your mother or your grandmother, and that's
eating the same recipes, as you say, the same cooking habits is why they had the same diseases grandma had. It's not her genes, not her genetics. Okay, it's her cooking methods. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can have the same recipes, but learn to tweak it so you're cooking it better, or
you're cooking it safer and taking your 90 essential nutrients to protect every cell in your body.
And taking out the wheat flour and replacing it with rice flour, for example. It's, you know,
Now, have you ever heard, you know, somebody asked a doctor about, shouldn't I be taking some vitamins and minerals? The doctor said, no, just eat well, you get everything you need.
Oh, yes, I've had that happen to me.
Doctor says, just eat well, you get everything you need. That doctor should have his or her license taken away.
I've had doctors and pharmacists
plants only need 3 minerals, we need 60.
Yeah, but they've made a big thing about, no, you don't need any supplements. They're just a waste of time. There's a few other words I won't use said about them, and you know, and I don't believe that, because like I said, if it's not in the soil, it's not in your food, so we're not getting, our body's not getting what they need. And sad to say, the doctors and pharmacists and different ones that have said that to me have all become very unwell. They've had all these medical issues, cancers, and really bad. And I'm thinking, so how come you're so sick and I'm so healthy? And the difference is I have found the 90 and some, and cut out cooking badly and all those fast food things. So
the fast foods are cooked poorly. Fast foods are cooked poorly. And here's the one that freaks me out. The emergency room medical doctors in America, you need to find out in Australia.
Oh, they do it here too.
Yeah, the emergency room doctors here in America, their average lifespan is 57.8. The average lifespan is 57.8. The average lifespan of Americans is 75. The average lifespan of the average Japanese is 97. Huh.
Yeah. But the emergency doctors just, well, they'll tell you, some that I've talked to, they and nurses, emergency nurses, they know they're not eating well. They don't have time to eat properly, and they just go and get junk food. And it's really quite sad. We need them to be on top of their game to take care of people correctly, because if they're not getting the right nutrition, their brain is not working as well as it should be, and their bodies wouldn't be working as well as it should be. We need to go and educate them. Not that they would listen, but we try.
And people don't realize it. When they get a pill to relieve symptoms, that's not slowing the disease down or stopping the disease or curing the disease. It's just relieving a symptom, which makes the patient happy. Oh, I had pain in my neck, and this doctor had this new medication. I just take one of these pills 3 times a day, and I don't have that pain anymore. Okay, but in the morning, I better take my pill real quickly, otherwise the pain will be right there.
Yeah, I know a few like that, and I've said to them, you know, that particular painkiller was only designed for a short time, not for you to be taking it 3 or 4 times a day forever. That's not what it's designed for. You're doing yourself more harm. I can't get that through to some people. They just, no, doctors prescribe this for me, and just can't. Yeah, that's sad, quite sad. Well, Doc, so we've covered a few things this morning, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we've done a good job. People need to know what to do, and I think you're an angel. You're an angel of God by allowing us to talk about these things on your program. Thank you so much. You know, I look forward to maybe in 6 months to a year get to travel again, and I'll be seeing you. Okay.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Traveling either way is a bit crazy these days, but it's getting better, I guess. A lot more people are traveling, but then a lot of people are. And here we go again. I have got a bill there.
You take any of the Rebound? Do you take any of our Rebound?
I have Rebound, but we don't have it in the sticks here in Australia. We just have it in the canister.
Oh, you have the canister, so you scoop out the powder.
Yes,
Okay.
that gives you good energy.
Yeah, we have these, there's 30 of these in a box, and we have the canisters also.
Mm.
People can, you know, I travel so much, I throw a couple of these in my pocket, and I can't take a canister with me because you get kicked over and get the powder everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's the beauty of the sticks, isn't it? Is that you can take them, and I mean, like we have electro fuel as well. That's a good energy one.
There
At
you
least
go.
at least it's in a stick, so I can take it when I go anywhere. So it's good. So you've got to do what you got to do. But well, Doc, thank you for your time and effort this morning. Oh, my morning, your
Well, thank you for
afternoon.
picking a great subject. And, you know, we're getting the information out to your community, and you're an angel to do that. Thank you. God bless you. And we'll see you next time.
We will see you in a month's time. But remember, everyone, to take your, well, I'll end it. This is how I'll end it. So remember, here in Bronie's World, I ask you all nicely to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And remember, put that salt on. Take your 90 for life. Your Healthy Body Start Pack is your key to start. Add on those extras like I-26 and a few others, depending on your condition. Let me know, and we can help you with that. And then you too will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all. Catch you again tomorrow here in Bronie's World. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate your time with us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for the time, because we have so many people in your community to help. We have so many people in my community to help. We have the world to help. So we're busy. God bless you, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. We certainly do have a lot of people to help. Bye for now.